everyone. For today's 12 Days of Christmas, we're going to make an ornament pot holder. Okay, supplies for our ornament pot holder. There is a PDF template where you'll find the link to download the outline of our ornament. We also need a square of fabric for the back of our pot holder. I'm using 2 layers of Insulbrite, random 1.5 to 2 inch scrap strips. I am also going to use the bias binder foot. I am using the compact digital dual feed foot for the chorus. You can use a walking foot that fits your machine, will do fabulous. And I'm also using ready-made bias tape. Let's get started. I have my backing fabric wrong side up, and I have my 2 squares of Insulbrite laid on top. I've drawn a line down the middle of my top piece. This is going to be my guide for getting started with my strips. So I am just going to lay one down here using this as a guide, and I'm gonna lay another one right on top. Want to make sure that it is as long as my Insulbrite pieces are. We're gonna trim this down later, but I just want to get everything, I want to make sure everything's covered. I have my machine set up with just a regular center needle position straight stitch, 2.0 stitch length. I am using red thread in my top and my bottom. It will show on the bottom but not on my top, but to make it a little easier to see. We're going to sew with about 1/4 inch seam allowance. This project is a little bit forgiving, so if you're not perfect, that is just fine. And we're just going to sew these strips down. Once I have it sewn down, then I'm going to flip it open. Give it a press. And then we're going to lay another piece right on top, lining our edges up again, and we'll sew this one down. Walking foot is critical with this project in order to move all of your layers together as one. So this is a little bit of Quilt-as-you-go, stitch and flip. Now that we have all of our strips sewed down, I am going to take my template, lay it on top, and I'm going to trace around so I know where to trim everything off at. And I'm just using a pencil. You could use a Frixion marker, chalk, ink pen, whatever you wanted to. Okay, I am going to stitch right inside that line to help hold everything together. So I'm just following around the line that I drew, stitching about 1/8 inch to the inside of that line. It's not going to be seen when we put our binding on, but it will just help hold all of my layers down, especially these pieces out here on the side. Okay, Now that we have that done, we're going to take our scissors and we are going to trim right on the line that we drew. So I'm just going to trim all my layers off. You can do this with a rotary cutter that if you wanted to, but I find scissors work the best. And it's starting to look like an ornament. This is another great scrap buster. You could really do this process with any shape that you wanted to. Okay, so now that we have that all trimmed down, looks like an ornament, I am going to add my bias binding. And I'm going to use the bias binder attachment foot in order to do that. Okay, we are going to be attaching pre-made bias binding to the edge of our potholder to finish it up. I am going to use the bias binder foot because y'all know I love specialty feet. Right tool for the right job makes it oh so easy. So I have the bias binder attachment on my machine. I have used this little wheel right here to adjust this opening so that my bias tape feeds through easily. It's being held on the side over here and it meets over here. Back here I can adjust this screw and slide and make additional adjustments if I needed to, but I'm right spot on where I need to be. So we are going to insert our potholder. This right here has a little bit of spring to it. If you see it springs right there.
Perfect.
So my potholder is right there in the middle. And I think I'm gonna scoop my needle over 2 clicks to the left. Oh yeah, that's gonna hit it just perfect. And we're just gonna drive around. You do need to use bias binding, whether you use pre-made or you make it yourself, because you are working with a curved edge, and you need that give that bias binding provides in order to get around these curves.
And if you look at the back side of this, this is just perfect. It's gorgeous.
Easy peasy.
Oh, beautiful.
And I have not had to struggle. I've been able to talk and still get this attached. Mad skills. Of course, y'all may not find that hard to believe because we all know I can talk. There's not even any edges to tuck in with this because we're going to come back and give our potholder a little top, and that's going to close everything up. I am going to go ahead and guesstimate where my end is going to be and give this a trim off. I want to get all this. I think it may be a little generous in that cut, but better too much than too little. Perfect. So that just closed that right in. That was so easy. All right, now to finish this top off, inside of our template that we use to cut our shape out, you have this ornament top. So I have 2 pieces of fabric. I'm just using my plaid because this is all about scrap. And I'm going to trace around this shape, and then we're going to sew it on up here to finish things off. Now that I have my ornament top cut or traced and cut out, I'm gonna sew around the outside 3 sides, leaving the long straight edge open. And I'm gonna sew with a 1/4 inch seam. This is a great opportunity to talk about, do you realize that there are marks here on the front of your foot? This mark here in the front is a 1/4 inch in front of my needle. So when I am trying to figure out how far back I need to stop in order to, when I turn, I maintain a 1/4 inch. This is what you use that for. So I've hit that 1/4 inch mark right there. So now when I turn, still perfect 1/4 inch from the edge. Just thought y'all'd like to know that. That may have been too much. Turned it right side out. We'll fold my end in a little bit. Get my corners poked out. So there's my top. Just gonna slide it down over. I think I folded in too much. There you are. And now we're just gonna sew that down.
Cute.
Give it a back stitch. And you're all set. There we are.
Cute.